Hey, this is Attorney Drew Page. Welcome to the Drew Page channel. In this video, we're going to answer the question, how can I protect my credit when I've been injured in a car accident? This would also apply if you've lost your job or if you've experienced some other unforeseen setback that's caused you to be out of work or to have your wages severely limited in some way. If you find this video to be helpful, please subscribe to my channel and like this video so they can get information out to other people. I'm a personal injury attorney in Virginia, and one of the things that people don't think about when we're dealing with car accidents is their credit. A lot of times when people are injured in an accident, they are out of work, they're not getting their regular paycheck, they may not have the disability insurance in place, and there can be concerns about credit. Because even though at the end there may be a settlement or there may be a jury verdict in the client's favor, they may still experience some financial hardships while the matters are pending. They're technically responsible for medical bills that are accumulated throughout, but not just that, they also are responsible for the ongoing month-to-month bills like utilities, cable, phones, internet, all the things that are regularly part of their life expenses are now going potentially unpaid, or the client may have a very difficult time making all of the payments. And this reality, unfortunately, is very high when it comes to car accidents. The CDC estimates that about 33,000 people die in car accidents every year. Additionally, car accidents account for about $44 billion in medical costs. Getting in an accident is an expensive problem to have. Now again, there may be a settlement or a verdict at the end, but what are you going to do to maintain while the case is pending? Or until you are able to get your steady work back or maybe improve in a job. So what are the steps that you can take to protect your credit while a catastrophic event has taken place and you're not able to work? Well, number one, the first thing that you need to do is create a budget. I know. It sounds mighty FUD. I get it. But you need to know how much you regularly bring in, and you need to know how much you regularly send out in expenses. Because before you can know where you're going to attack things, you need to know what your regular expenses are. So you need to create a budget. Now, the easiest thing to do would be to do a Google search for Dave Ramsey budgets. I know that some people love Dave Ramsey, some people don't, but you can't argue with the forms. His budget form is really great. Here's an example of one. All you got to do is Google the name Dave Ramsey budget. One will pop up in PDF. You print it out, fill it out, and that way you have a projection for the month that you have each and every month. Now, the way to decide what your monthly budget amounts are is I recommend you take the previous 90 days and take the average of the 3 months for income as well as the average of the 3 months of the expenses and use that as the projection for the next month. It's not a perfect science, but it'll at least give you enough to get started, and then you can make adjustments as you go along. Don't be afraid if you see a big negative at the bottom. You may have that if you've been in a car accident because, again, you're not making the same money that you were. So don't despair, but be prepared. Make sure that you understand, because in order for you to make sure that everything is easily explainable to creditors, you need to know how much you have coming in, how much you have going out. Number two, you need to make sure that you are taking care of yourself. Don't pay creditors before you pay for your food, your clothing, your shelter, and your transportation. Make sure that you pay those off before you pay anybody else. There are some people that are so concerned about their credit that they will go without eating and make sure that they pay their credit card bill. The creditors can wait. Make sure that you are taking care of yourself, you're taking care of your family, you're providing them a place to stay, you're providing them with food to eat, you're providing yourself with a way to get back and forth to work. It doesn't have to be elaborate, but make sure that it's something reliable that can get you back and forth to work so you can pay these bills whenever you get to that point. Or make sure that you have some function of transportation if you're out of work to be able to get back and forth to the doctors. A lot of times you're going to have to be going to chiropractors, or you're going to be seeing therapist, you're going to see your physician. You need to be able to get back and forth from the doctor. So you need to make sure you have some reliable form of transportation. And of course, you need clothes to wear. Again, it doesn't have to be the nicest stuff, but make sure that you're taking care of yourself and your family. Don't pay the creditors a dime if you're struggling in any of those four things. The third thing, and this is going to be the one that is the hardest for you to accept, you need to pay yourself after you provided for your basic needs. You need to make sure that you set aside some portion to put in a savings account and then ultimately be able to invest. A lot of the books recommend 10%. It doesn't really matter what it is, but it will give you some form of control for you to be able to say, I am paying myself before I'm paying any of these other creditors. And in the long term, that will be a benefit to you because it will give you a sense of control and power that you're going to need when it comes to negotiating with these other folks. I know the book, The Richest Man in Babylon, suggests that even when you're dealing with creditors and you're trying to catch up because you're super behind, you should still pay yourself 10% each and every paycheck before you pay any other creditors. And I think that's good advice. You're going to need it for emergencies. You're going to need it for investing. It's so important to pay yourself first. You say, well, again, I'm looking at my budget and it's a negative sign at the bottom. It doesn't matter. It is better for you to pay yourself first than it is to worry about paying other creditors. So make sure that you're following that step. And again, that's why the budget's so important. That's why it's important to make sure you're taking care of yourself. And then most of all, make sure that you are paying yourself first to prepare yourself for the future. Number 4, if you have an attorney for your personal injury case, make sure you let them know who all of your medical providers are, because even though the bills are due immediately, sometimes the lawyers can send out a letter to each of the medical providers and either secure a lien where basically when we get a settlement or a verdict, the doctors will be able to be paid first out of the proceeds that come from that to have their bills paid. And sometimes it's just comforting for the doctor to know that the attorney has sent a letter of protection, essentially saying we agree to protect whatever amount that you owe to the medical provider from any settlement or verdict that comes for the injury. So make sure that you let your lawyer know who all of your medical providers are, and they can send that protection letter out, and that will at least keep the medical providers' bills at bay, and they'll send all of the bills to the attorney's office rather than to you, which will relieve a great deal of stress out of your life and letting the lawyer take care of it. If you don't have a lawyer, then you should go get a lawyer, and there'll be another video about that. Number 5, the key with your other creditors is communication. This is where the budget and the list of creditors and understanding all that you owe comes into play. If you communicate and you pay something, generally you will not be dragged into court. Now, is it possible that some creditors may still sue you if you're not paying the full amount each and every month? It's possible, but it's not something that I see often in the court system. Most of the time when a person who owes a debt has been making some payment, I mean, even if it's $5 a month, even if it's $1 a month, if they're paying something and they're communicating to the creditors, it is very hard for a judge to grant a judgment in favor of the creditor when you are going through these difficult circumstances. Send them a copy of your budget. Let them know what it is that you owe, how you plan on paying them, and even let them know, I'm even paying myself. They're not going to like it, but that's okay. You're communicating with them. You're showing them that you have a plan. And through that plan, you can then develop yourself and make sure that you're protecting yourself from these creditors and from these lawsuits. So communicate, communicate, communicate. If you want to protect yourself from lawsuits for pending debts, and they're things that the attorney can't protect you with a letter of protection, then communicate, send them a copy of your plan, and let them know that you're going to pay them something each and every month. And if you're not going to pay them something each and every month, show them where on the list they are, and maybe you could negotiate with them and say, well, I can move you higher up on the list if you're willing to write off the debt if I pay this amount. And maybe that gives you some steam to be able to negotiate, to be able to get them off. That may not work, but it's at least worth a try. But the key is communicate and sending them that information. Of course, the best way to protect yourself from a catastrophic injury and protect your credit score is to prepare for it to begin with before it happens. None of us ever expect that there's going to be a car accident or some loss of a job. A lot of us don't see those types of things coming, but they are preventable if we plan for them in advance. The things I'm telling you about a budget and making sure that you're taking care of yourself and you're always putting money aside, that will protect you in the event of some future catastrophic loss, some future catastrophic some future catastrophic injury, some job loss, termination, a downturn in the economy. If you have those things in place now, when the time comes, you will be better prepared. It may not be perfect, but it will be better off than what you would have if you didn't prepare in the first place. So again, car accidents are unforeseen circumstances. We don't ever wake up in the morning and say, hey, I'm going to be in a car accident. And those things have long-term impacts, including while the case is pending, on your credit, on your debts that you owe, and all those things. So make sure that you've got a good personal injury lawyer that can help you throughout the process, that isn't just trying to get a third of the recovery without educating you and helping you on how to make sure not only that you get a good settlement or a good verdict, but also will walk with you financially to help you be able to think through these things, and also will help you once you get that money to learn how to invest it and grow it and take care of it. Hope you found this video helpful. Please subscribe to my channel and like this video, and put in the comments, do you agree or disagree with my ideas about how to help during these times of difficulty and unforeseen circumstance? What are some tips and suggestions you would give to some of these folks so they can read in the comments? I'm always interested in learning from other people. I know that I don't have all the information in the world, so I love being able to learn and hear what you have to say. So please put it in the comments. Until next time, stay tuned.